Hi everybody, Dr. Albert Snow here, Holistic Gastroenterologist, creator of the GI Cure, the only protocol in the world that will heal inflammatory bowel conditions. Pretty bold statement, right? It happens to be true. 40 years of doing this. I actually hit it out of the box. It didn't take me 40 years to deliver it. It took me 40 years to maybe tone down the information, the content that I would tell you, and just give it to you in less than an hour. I got honed down again. Probably convey 3 sentences if I had to, but it's simple. It's simple. The GI Cure, that's what I'm going to talk about right now, just real quick. The GI Cure is the only system that will fix these in the world because it addresses the issues. So if you're not going to do the GI Cure, don't waste your time. Just go on the salami. Don't waste your time. I'm being serious. I'm a very sincere person, and don't waste your time. You have to do several things. You have to replace the mucosal lining. What is that all about? Inside your gut, actually starting from your mouth all the way down through you, the tender skin that's in the stomach like a circle, and the 20-foot canal of the intestines and upwards to the esophagus. Very tender skin in there. Should always be covered up with something that looks like slimy Vaseline. And it is there to protect the bowel and upper digestive system, tender skin. So if you have acid reflux, you really have IBS of the esophagus, or if you have IBS, you have GERD of the lower intestines. You see what I mean? It's interchangeable. And it's all about the mucosal lining and knowing how to repair the tissue that was damaged. And knowing what to eat during this time. It's very, very little to do with diet. Diet cannot cause this. You cannot get inflammatory bowel condition from poor diet. And you can't eat your way out of it. I tell people, just drop the eating bullshit for a little while, will you? You're complicating things. Your diet's not going to heal it, okay? And you say, well, isn't it better to be healthy? Right, we're talking about a month and a half, maybe 2 months of just dropping the bullshit and following the program. The GI Cure works every time, and there's never going to be an updated version of it. I nailed it the first time. I thought it would improve upon it as time went by. It never did. Improved on how to describe it. What it does, it replaces the mucosal lining, which is the problem because that was removed from the use of antibiotics. And your own stomach acids 8 holes deep enough to hit nerves and blood vessels. Why? And what's the big deal with those two things? Well, you can have a half-inch hole in your bowel and not have any idea anything going on until you hit a blood vessel or nerve, and that's when the symptoms start. And so the GI Cure looks at this and says, wait a minute, the acid's almost like sunlight and you're at the beach, you're getting toasted. So it says, will you put some sunscreen on, please? Because that's a little barrier between the sun and you and your shoulders. Well, in this case, we're talking about the sun, and the sunburn is inside your gut. The sun is the acid from your digestion, and it's burning the skin of your intestines. So if someone says, will you put on some sunscreen, please? That's the version of putting in the mucosal lining. Something between you and the acid, you and the sun. The difference is when we do it properly, the mucosal lining stays there permanently. That's one of the things I'm most proud of with the GI Cure, because it's residential, which means that you take it and when you do it right with colostrum, it sticks to the lining of the stomach, the bowel, the esophagus, and grows a nice thick mucosal lining, and you're golden. So the reason we talk about well, there's really 2 steps if we incorporate the diet in step 2. Talk about the GI Cure as if it is the best and only system in the world to heal it. It really is. If you have anybody talking about fixing your GI and they're not talking about the mucosal lining, forget it. And in the context of the mucosal lining, they better be talking about colostrum. Otherwise, just walk away. And so you have to have the mucosal lining to stop the damage, and then when you stop the damage and you've got the tissue covered up and not exposed, covered up and protected, you start to build a skin fat and muscle underneath the mucosal lining. If you try to build the skin fat and muscle to the bowel wall without the mucosal lining, that would be like building a sandcastle at the ocean. You know the high tide guy's going to come eventually. So we built a layer of skin at night. Wow, we took some of the GI Cure and built us a layer of skin. Of course, you're going to need about 100, but that's a start. And then you come down and you have no mucosal lining because no one told you about it. You have breakfast, and all that acid you had for breakfast comes over and eats your sandcastle. And so people say, well, I did the GI Cure. I said, well, what did you do? I took the amino acids and the fatty acids. I said, did you build mucosal lining? No, because my wife said I didn't have to, or something. I was eating breakfast and I coughed or something. People, the stuff they have, the guy says he choked on the pills, the colostrum and the Probag, and so he never took them again. I mean, things I hear. The things I hear. One guy, there's something called GI Select. It's a powder that a lot of people don't like the taste of it. He didn't like the consistency of it when he poured it in a fluid, so he says, I'm taking it. I said, well, how are you taking it? He says, I just put it in my mouth like a big tablespoon of dry, yucky tasting powder. He says, I just hold it in there, and eventually, bit by bit, he says, I swallow it. So I said, another guy just swallowed a pill. He doesn't take it at all. You're taking it. You're a savage. You're a beast. So what you do is you have certain elements that have to be present, and one of them is replacing mucosal lining. That's why the GI Cure is so successful. Some of the other parts of it, I really invented all of it, but nowadays people are ripping off left and right, and they say, let's build the tissue, the skin, fat, and muscle, amino acids, and all that, and they'll get temporary results, if at all. Or let's replace the mucosal lining and don't repair the tissue underneath. That's no good, because the tissue underneath is going to cave in on you, and you won't have peri and peristaltic motion. You'll have to get shoveled out once a month. So that's why the GI Cure is so successful. It's like, I think there's 5 pills, and you do it for 90 to 120 days, and you'll be healed. But way before, when you're actually healed, you feel as though you're healed. So we've had to take courses on how to argue with people who said, I'm healed. I say, you're not healed. I'm healed. You're not healed just because they have an absence of symptom. It takes a certain number of days to rebuild tissue with integrity. I know what those days are. So someone comes to me and says, I'm healed. I'll say, well, how's your body working? Fine. How long have you been healed? Oh, just like 3 or 4 days. Good. Throw you an apple. Tell me what happens. Oh, no, terrible. On Facebook, talk about the GI Cure. A lot of people I treat go on Facebook. They talk about it, and it's overwhelmingly good. But you get these people who, the day after they start the protocol, they're veering off to the left and right doing their own thing. They're eating oatmeal or something. I say, what did we mention oatmeal? Just do the effing program. Just do the effing program. You're going to heal if you do the effing program. I should call it the effing program. The GI Cure is available if you go to holisticgastroenterology.com, and it's a course you're teaching yourself on how to heal your gastrointestinal problem. And in there's protocols. And you pick the left or right, up the middle, wherever direction you want to go according to what your body's doing. I built in every contingency that there is. I've had so many conversations about inflammatory bowel. I know every question is going to come up, so I put that in the GI Cure. Much better than just talking to me. You talk to me, you're going to have me 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. But and then a few interactions with emails. I'll fix you every time. But when you go to the GI Cure protocol, the website Holistic Gastroenterology, you get much more than you bargained for. Much more than you would with me. You get all of me. You get stuff that took me years to say. It's in there. Something took me years to say. You're not going to hear it most of the time. And point with me, it's in there. And I recommend you go there, consider doing the protocol. It will heal you, but also consider joining, so you have access to all the information. And a great community. People want to hug me all day. They don't mind getting hugged. Loving people. So these are what I do, the quick hitters. I just kind of scat up what's on the top of my mind, things we're going to talk about. like one more subject, silent reflux, or here's another one, just similar to it. You got acid reflux and it's just killing you. Then one day it just stops. You're getting no treatment, didn't do anything, it just stops. Hallelujah, we're doing the dance, the happy dance, right? No. Because what happens is something called GERD, where you are building essentially calluses in your esophageal wall. And after a while, it gets sick of getting burnt, the tissue in there, and then you end up getting scar tissue. Scar tissue means it's sealed it off and you don't feel anything. That's not a good sign because you want to be able to feel the pain. Believe it or not, that means you still could have that fixed. It's still alive, so to speak. And when it stops, silent, we're not going to complain about that, but it doesn't mean the damage has stopped occurring. What it really means is it's sealed off. You can't get any nutrition in there. So you don't want that. Silent reflux, you say, well, I don't have any heartburn, but the endoscopy shows you do. It's the fastest way to get Barrett syndrome. You don't want Barrett syndrome. Barrett syndrome is when the cells that were in the scar tissue of GERD have converted over to being potentially cancerous. I think there's a very small potential for like 1%, but people do get it. I mean, I had a relative that had it. And so it occurs that if you don't do the right things, nature will catch up with you. So I'm going to leave you now. I'm going to come back with another quick hitter on a subject that I know you want to hear about, but you don't want to hear an hour. You don't want to hear about it for an hour. That's the quick hitters. People tell me, I don't want to do an appointment with you. I don't feel like listening to you for a half hour. Usually they're the teenagers. I said, okay, then write it out. Get your prescription. But you can scroll and see what the quick hitter is about. I think I'm going to cover every subject there is in my own style. So don't be offended if you hear a swear word here and there, or 10 or 20 or 30. I talk like real people talk when they're not talking bullshitting everybody at work. So that's what I do. If you like it, keep coming back. If you don't, there's other streaming and blog posts out there. So thanks for listening. I'll be back with some more, hopefully for you, interesting little quick hitters. Okay, so long.